for them.
Absolutely. So I'm recording now. This is probably more of an informal session to just go over the capabilities of status page, what we've shipped so far, and just do a little bit of Q&A so that Dave and Anthony, your teams are enabled with the information that they would need to go ahead and spin this up and get it going without without any roadblocks, hopefully. So at the highlight, I think it would be good to just take a quick look at the docs because I think we put a pretty decent, I don't know what you call this, schematic. So the architecture here is within your GitLab instance, you will have a dedicated project that's dedicated to incident management. And when you log an issue in the project, it will trigger a background job that will save that data in a JSON file. That JSON file then goes out to a configured cloud provider. Today, we only support AWS, and the instructions to set up the bucket are here. And then there's a separate status page that lives on the CDN, and that updates with that information. So we can kind of dig into, that's kind of the high level overview of what we've got so far. There's some pretty decent instructions on setting it up. Essentially you need an AWS bucket, and then within the project, there's just a variable to set that bucket name, and that's how GitLab will know to publish and save your file there. Here's kind of what we ended up with, a main page. I don't think that this is this kind of landing page was one that we were going to use initially, because you're still going to continue to use statuspage.io, if that's right. And so I think the main capability here will be these incident detail pages. So each of these pages will publish, the title of the issue, whether it's an open or closed incident, and the summary as the incident description. And then, of course, you can put things into the incident description. So, for example, like a timeline, you could add to the incident description, and that'll show up on the status detail page. As we look into some of the, I put the links to the epics. This is a running example that Peter got up and going on our kind of demo sandbox page, so we can poke into that a little bit too if we need to do that. So this was kind of the base set of capabilities where we just shipped, like, you can configure this thing, it's on a CDN, it displays the incident details, there's a link, for example, to contact support, which I don't think is, well, actually, was that, yeah, you aren't using this page, so that wasn't a major. And then I don't think that there's anything else super important there, but we can kind of dig into them more. And then within this second epic here, we can, you can specify the front page URL. There are tooltips with full date formatting. We added this open close status, the ability to post comments, and then, of course, that main status page that lists the recent incidents. So it's quite bare bones. We don't today have the ability to anonymize the GitLab usernames, which we knew was not something that you had on status page. So we didn't set that for this crop. But we did anonymize some data, or I don't know if I want to say anonymize, and I don't know, Peter, if you want to describe it a little bit more cleanly. We did discover that because you could put a link in the status page and it wasn't doing any kind of anonymization, that was actually a bit of a security flaw, because anyone could set up a status page and then put a link into, let's say, a private issue, and then it would reveal the the title of that private issue, even though it's private. So we actually scrubbed that type of data before shipping this thing. I don't know if that sounds like a good summary, Peter.
Yes, I think the technical term is called redaction, but yeah, we redacted the links.
Good catch, thanks.
We don't have images yet, and there was one issue that we talked about, which was kind of more granular control over which incidents publish. So today, it's basically if you have developer level permissions, which, as I understand, anybody who will be working in your GitLab Ops instance incident management project will have developer permissions, so you shouldn't have a permissions issue. But essentially, if you have that level of permissions and you log the issue or you comment, that information will show up on the status page. And then in a future iteration, we could develop maybe, say, like some slash commands or some kind of mechanism by which to publish and unpublish data, but that's in a future iteration. So that's kind of the high level overview. Any kind of questions at this point?
I dropped one question in the doc, actually, just realizing from a workflow point of view that right now, when you're the CMOC, which is in the future actually going to be support, when we tweet out from status.io saying like, hey, we've got a production issue, if it's not that bad and we're able to make the production issue since things aren't GitLab.com at the moment, we actually copy the production issue URL just straight out of the browser and then paste that into what we tweet. So I was just asking the question of like, now that we're decoupling that and saying that there's a different URL for that incident, so it would be nice to have some way to very quickly go and get that from the issue that you decided to publish. So I think you kind of alluded to some stuff like that in what you were starting to show. So I was just making sure that it was easy to do, because this is that case of we just don't want to make it hard on the CMOC to have to go hunt for things, like open up yet another tab and find it and then copy and paste. So
yeah, that's a great, otherwise you have to go to the static site, click through from the landing page to the active incident, grab the URL, and then post it into the status.io post.
Yeah.
So you just did that, William, and that's not that bad, but that burden when you're actually in an incident, what took you a minute can take 5 in an incident.
Totally.
So
totally makes sense.
It was like, so if there's an easy way to make that URL appear in the GitLab UI while I'm typing in the actual issue, that would be handy. So that was my one comment so far and what I was noticing.
Yeah, that would be nice to have. Otherwise, no, this is great. As soon as we can get the production traffic go to ops, I'm really looking forward to not having to spend as much time updating in 2 places.
And we'll get an issue created for that and put in the status page epic and then scheduled for the next couple of milestones. That's awesome. That's fantastic feedback. I know that that's a small thing, but I think when we're talking about operation use cases, you know, people using something under high stress, the experience needs to be the least amount of clicks, the most intuitive, easiest to find. So, you know, as you use this, as you continue to watch this demo, please give us as much little changes like that we can do.
Yeah, and that'll be the real beauty of this dog food, is that once you start using it, you will find all the things, and that rich set of feedback will be tremendous. So yeah, so we can definitely log issues out of this session as well. Do y'all know what your current timelines you're looking at to move on to the ops instance?
I was really hoping we'd be there by now.
In the next quarter.
Yeah, I hope sometime in May. I'll give us a full month at a minimum. It could be a little bit longer, but hopefully this month.
Do you find that when you're asked questions about infrastructure projects that Dave gives the longer timelines and Anthony, you give the ideal timeline?
No, it's not a good cop, bad cop kind of review.
I was just joking.
It's funny though. I think there are probably some occasions or situations we find ourselves in where we may actually flop the other way.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, and I'm just kind of curious to just how the team works.
Well,
If
it
I
just
may
got
take-
blown up because we added another manager and we've got our new director and our VP. So it's going to change is what I can say for now.
Because this all of a sudden got lumped into a larger effort to reorganize the way projects are structured up on ops. We're starting to tackle the question of how are these mirrored properly, which types of projects end up on ops as the source of truth as opposed to .com as the source of truth. And the production project is pretty clear cut as to where the source of truth needs to be. It's just a matter of where it lives. We can always move it again later, but I just prefer not to do that twice. That meaning it will be on ops. I just don't know that it ends up in a different group or in a different.
I'll drop Marin's write up on that. Give me just a sec so you can see like what reasoning logic we now have.
There's a handbook page on that now, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm pulling up. Infrastructure projects. Yeah, Marin wrote up a handbook page on like classifications of stuff. So, oh. There, so you have it.
Yeah, that's cool. Which is good info as well because at least our customers may come across something similar as well if they probably not going to get set up an entire ops instance.
Yeah.
But
well, and
at
it's
least
meant
have
to
to
be
set up the project and categorize things and
yeah. When it's meant to be a categorization of like we have different kinds of projects that we run with things with infrastructure. Some of them belong on GitLab.com. Some of them belong on ops. There's how we provide access to those things, how we mirror them. So it's the guiding doc. So now we have like a standard to hold. Like when we have something we need to place somewhere, where do we put it? This is that doc in the handbook that guides where we put that stuff.
Nice.
So it's big. You're gonna want 20 minutes to read and then grok.
Cool. Then awesome. We have that linked in the docs, and that looks like a helpful. Well, cool. I do. I wonder if I can stop sharing for a moment. I don't necessarily want to put anyone on the spot, but and I know Crystal, you kind of have come in and definitely appreciate you on the call as well. Peter, I think you have the most kind of intimacy with the architecture. Is there anything that you kind of want to share, or maybe that we haven't covered so far that would be good to dig into?
Good question. Maybe the only thing I'd like to share is before we started to actually implement the status page, we had a spike where we had a different approach, where we tried to use CI/CD, well, the CI runners for that, and utilize GitLab's webhooks. And at first, I was in love with this idea and this approach because it was very GitLabish, I would say. It used parts of GitLab very well. But the main concern was the speed, which I understand. The speed of the CI runner, for example, and we don't want to wait on CI pipelines to complete in order to have status page deployed. So this I understood, and I think the background job solution approach is also very, very nice now. So again, at first I was a huge fan of using GitLab's building blocks, I would say, but then again I understand that speed is crucial in times where the fire is on and everyone is fighting for their life. Maybe not for their life, but you know what I mean. So that's the only technical aspect I'd like to share. I'm not sure if we are planning to, in terms of the product status page, if we are planning to maybe also offer the other solution to customers at some point. So where we maybe say, okay, you have two options to use GitLab background jobs, or maybe the other solution using webhooks. But that's I don't know. That's maybe a question for William or Sarah.
Yeah, and that's an interesting concept. And what's your thought on like the advantage of using the webhooks to the customer or to the end user?
It's a good. So one concern was also brought up by Sean is currently you don't have much visibility in terms of when it comes to publishing the status page, the JSON files, when it comes, for example, to errors, logging errors or something like that. It's not, right now it's not visible to users. If something goes wrong, you have to look into the, for example, into Kibana and find out what happens. The CI runner approach has the main advantage. You already have like CI runner logs for that, so, and pipeline logs, so you can easily see what happens. But I also understand that it's far more. It's not as streamlined as the current solution, yeah, as a CI runner solution, because it's more, as I said, more GitLab building block approach, which is nice for power users, I would say, but maybe not the best deal for end users, which who maybe don't care about the technical implications. But yeah,
And that's something really good to unearth. Just at this point, in the ideal world, you log the issues and the feature works as advertised and there's no problems. But if there ever was some need to troubleshoot or to look at what was happening, this sounds part and parcel into what your teams have access to. Like they work in Kibana, they would know how to go and do that, and they potentially do that for other elements of the ops instance. Does that sound accurate?
Sorry, I'm coming back, William. Sorry, I just saw that something piped up on incident management, so I was looking at graphs really quick. So can you say that again? I'll thread for a second.
Yeah, we were just talking about, we had some architecture choices on either using CI/CD runners to publish a page or using a background job. The advantage of the runners is if something ever goes wrong or there's an error, the logs are readily accessible to everybody. Of course, with the background jobs, if there's ever an error, something you need to look at, you would need to dig into the Kibana dashboard of like the instance, looking at the instance errors. And my question is I don't think it's a blocker to your team. I believe that they do that already within their work on the instance. Does that sound right?
Yeah. And I don't know that I have trust in either enough to prefer one way or another.
The incident that just popped up is for a background pipeline, though. It's Sidekick.
Yeah, well, this is on .com, and that's what I think on the ops instance, I probably trust the background runners a little more than CI. But in either case, they're not. I mean, this is our job to go make them more reliable, but.
Right, but talking about the self-managed customer, they're going to have private runners. So for them,
perhaps CI is better.
It's very different. I do still think this kind of workflow belongs in the product separate from hooking it up via GitLab CI YAML in the incident project, or however you would wire that up to pipelines and jobs. I think this is just better as a background process that's part of the application.
That's different than what I said, but yeah, I think whatever it provide you, it's mainly just more important that you provide an interface to, if something didn't work right, you find it's an easy way to go figure out what went wrong.
Okay. Cool. Then is there any part of the app, or would it just be good to run through and kind of see what we've got here? Here's, for example, an issue here in our demo instance. You can kind of see this is probably similar to how you all set up. In fact, this might have even been copied and pasted from something. But this is kind of similar to how you all set up descriptions today, I'm guessing. And then
yeah, I mean, you could go grab any of the templated instance, like we have an instance template for our incidents. It's actually more generic than that. The details usually end up in comments below. But sometimes we manage to get more information in the description.
Okay, so yeah, so we can kind of see we've got two closed issues, and when they're closed, they show up as closed here. They're kind of stacked in order with recency at the top. And then if we look at this this one open issue, this is this kind of disk filling up.
Mm-hmm.
We get the title here, and then of course we can go to the full incident detail page, and we get a pretty decent fidelity.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course here are the updates, and then this is the mechanism we have where if there's a comment you want to keep private. In fact, we can test it out. I actually don't know if I have developer permissions.
Even a maintainer, so you should be fine to
Yeah. So
post.
This should be private comment. Let's try public. And so we use this kind of microphone. So the microphone emoji is the mechanism by which to publish those comments. And I think this is all in line with kind of what we discussed ahead of time. And so I'm not quite sure on the timing. Do you have a sense on that, Peter? How long after you click the microphone from when it click on it to when it shows up on the?
It's
page?
usually pretty fast. I am surprised that it's not working. I've tested it, I think yesterday. Can you reload again? Are you okay? Interesting.
And I wonder. Oh, there we go. So
okay. Usually it's faster than the CI runners. I've tested it. So.
Which that right there did seem way faster than running a pipeline.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see the mechanism, and I think this is what we discussed, that adding that emoji. And it doesn't need to be the person who added the comment. Anybody with developer permissions can add the emoji, and that allows you to have public and private comments, and to add a comment and then publicize it later. It sounds like, Anthony, you got a hop.
I do, but this is great. Really looking forward to getting implemented, like I said. So
yeah.
Until the next time, thank you, everyone. It's great work.
Cool.
I think I had one other comment, William, back on the summary page of the incidents, on all of them for UI feedback. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't typing it yet. This summary page, is there any way you can control whether or not it's one column or two columns? Just because, like, and I think this is worth, because I'm one data point, so talk to a bunch of other customers on this, but a lot of people expect, when you're looking at incidents, a linear timeline. So 2 columns with left, right, left, right, left, right is actually going to be confusing once you start to have multiple things. So if it's, I'd be curious to hear what a bunch of people's opinions on for you, let you all take it, but possibly just one column is a more understandable interface.
That's great feedback. We could just make everything, horizontal and then move the full report button over to the right-hand side. And then it'll flow linearly. That's
Because,
great. Thanks, Dave.
when you think about it, this one is talk to some other people and see what they think, because everybody's got different preferences. But, if you go look at what we have on status like at lab.com right now, like there are many days where we have more than one, lower severity incident or a high priority and a low priority. And that would get confusing as you scroll it, in my opinion, with two columns. But with one column, you're like, okay, I can see that there were two on one day. And, you just sort by time, and it keeps it fairly simple. So
Thank you. And that seems like a fairly easy change for us to make. So Awesome. Thank you.
Super helpful.
yeah, I didn't have anything else. I agree with Anthony. So, definitely see the promise and keep iterating, and we'll see where we go from there. I think, it's abstracted more away from the specifics about the status page, but the other thing that we've been starting to put in place now that we've got Alberto as another manager and Brent as our director is for the reliability teams. In the next quarter, we're starting to create, like, my team will be core infrastructure things. Anthony's team is really focused on observability, and Alberto's team is really focused on data stores like Italy and Postgres. So as that focus evolves, I think Anthony will be a more key person to be syncing with. I'm always happy to provide input too. But like from our team focus, we're trying to create some team focus so that we have, it's somewhat like Sable counterparts. We're figuring out how to iterate on that too, but there's some focus that's trying to evolve so that, for the last couple of months, Anthony and I have really been just trying to keep everything afloat and that's not a viable model in the long run. So now we're starting to iterate on how we want to model who focuses on what in the infrastructure teams. So making sure you knew that. And then the other background is, like I said, I've been working with support on getting them involved in CMOC. So getting them all accounts in status.io and their ability to post things there. So in the future, I'd be happy to add some other people that we could add would be like Tristan Williams from support, Lyle. And Lyle would be just a good person to ask, like, who else has experience with CMOC. But we've done a couple of practice incidents and starting to get them up to speed on how to do things in status.io. So as we evolve, we'll probably get them involved on what changes for them there in the future. Like when we eventually get to the point of phasing out status.io, at some point they'd want to be involved. Just making sure that you knew all that other background work that was going on.
And you said that you will focus on core infra. Anthony will focus on
observability. So that's Prometheus and the Elk stack for logging. And then also, they're also going to keep tending to the tending Redis while they're at it. So it's kind of a weird mix of things. But Alberto's team taking on a lot of things related to both Italy and Postgres, they're pretty loaded up. So giving them also Redis as another data store to keep track of was too much. Core infra for me is like all the other compute that doesn't correspond to things with the database, and then also networking up through the CDN layer. And then a bunch of our other tooling related to Terraform and Chef and things like that. So we're beginning to get our minds around how that's going to work for us. So this quarter will be interesting to see how that focus works.
Cool. And then you said in support, Tristan Williams or Tristan Reed?
I think it's Tristan. Yeah, I hope I got his last name right. Sorry, let me look. I actually have an issue for the practice instance we did, so I can just give you that issue and stuff. Let me get it really quick.
And Dave, I have to provide an update directly to Sid on when you're going to start dogfooding this. So I obviously don't want to write that without you approving the wording.
Across Anthony and me and get the two of us to agree.
Okay,
when we start doing that.
I drafted a blurb, so I'm just going to share it with you and him in Slack, and then we can craft it to however you want that communicated.
So, and William, I just provided the link to our Epic, where that's where we had practice incidents, but you can see who all from supports contributed there. So rather than trying to give you names, that incident practice stuff is all linked in there. So DeAndre, Tristan Williams, Lyle, like they're all good 3 people. As we start to iterate further, I'd want to get input from support too. So, but yeah, like I said, we were trying to actually split out so that in the future, like we have the 3 roles of the engineer on call, the incident manager, and the communications manager. For a while, we'd always been just kind of lumping communications manager and incident manager together into what Anthony and I did. But now we're splitting out that communications element is going to support, since they have a lot of that kind of thing. They know cases are coming in. It makes sense to get them involved. So there's been efforts that we've been working on getting them involved in incident practices and posting to status.io, and in the future, they'd definitely be interested in helping contribute on this page too. Right now, we're getting them up to speed on how we do what we already do, but they'll be, as we get further along, able to contribute there too. Cool.
Then anything else from the group before we wrap it up?
Sarah, I see your, yeah, so just ping us on the blurb. And sorry, I got back, I didn't finish that thread. So, and we'll go contribute there. So cool.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, everyone.
You know what? I will only mention one other thing, which is David, and I think you might have known this, but I'll just clarify it, that I was able to work on Status Page as part of GitLab's kind of internal project. They call it an internship for learning.
Mm-hmm.
So very sadly for me, my internship ends this week, and I go full back on to being PMM for PMM duties. And Sarah's been essentially my PM mentor for the internship. So she'll be your single point of contact going forward.
Cool.
And then of course, Sarah, you can always loop me in if there's any way that I can help whatsoever, because I walked through the process, and I'm always happy to, even post internship, to jump in and help out. And even just as a GitLab team member, I have a very vested interest in seeing our SRE team dogfood our features. And it does have overlap with my PMM duties, because of course I'm PMM for GitOps. So
thanks, William.
That I just wanted to clarify that those set of who the DRI is going forward.
Oh,
Thank
cool.
you. All right.
Cool.
Cool. Well,
Awesome.
have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Cheers.